Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode, and giving it that second chance might just change your mind.
Here we take that chance for you and let you know our opinion on if a show deserves more than one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot, Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this week will be...
I brought you guys your two Grimace meals.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that goes perfectly with your in-flight entertainment this time, which is going to be the Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. For people who are unaware, there is a Ronald McDonald TV show, air quotes around that. It has episodes.
It does have episodes, and that is the qualifier for what we review on this show. However, calling it a TV show is a bit disingenuous.
Yeah.
It was more like a real-world ARG because you had to track down each of the VHSs separately via McDonald's, where you had to buy them for $3.50 each, but you could only buy them if you also bought a shake or a soda. And there are 6 episodes total, but only 5 of them were sold through McDonald's. So, like, to get the 6th one, you could only watch it online on the creator's website.
Klasky, Supo, the people who made Rugrats and stuff.
Wait, the VHSs were only $3.50?
Yeah.
Yes, but you had to buy a shake or a soda.
God, inflation's a bitch.
Yeah, it is.
And also, they were only on VHS. You could not get them on DVD or anything.
Yeah. And as you just heard, we have with us a guest and our delivery man for our food, apparently. Hunter, he's been on here before, and he's the one that said we should do this.
Hello. I did not mean to line it up with Grimace's birthday, but...
Hey, it works, man.
I love the giant purple taste bud.
No, man, you mean the embodiment of a milkshake.
I still think he's supposed to be like a brain freeze, like embodied, right? Like
Grease under a fryer.
For our milkshake still in Monster.
Burnt chicken nugget, I mean...
The milkshake still in Monster's canon, though. That was a thing.
It's a weird show. And I guess we might as well start with it. Episode 1 is...
Scared Silly.
Yeah.
So, like a bunch of shows from like the 80s and 70s that were based off of properties, i.e. like Mario Brothers, and there's others, but my brain is failing to like actually do work. The new Three Stooges, Back to the Future, the animated series, Mario Brothers.
Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah. They all started with a live bit at the front, and then they had their animated bit, and they end with a live bit too. And this show follows that same formula.
I did not consider that the Mario Brothers also does that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Real Ghostbusters does. I think it may have started the entire series with that.
So maybe you shouldn't have just interjected when you didn't know what I was going to say, huh?
Maybe, but who gives a fuck? I don't.
Well, I kind of like it. It's a trope we don't see very often. I think it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's my nostalgia blending in, but I like seeing the little live action bit and then...
It's like the live action version of Code Lyoko. That's only kind of live action.
Oh.
You know...
It's like live action anime.
The Wild Kratts should have done this. Like,
yeah.
The Krat Brothers show that came after the Krat Brothers.
Agreed, actually, yeah.
I don't know what that show is.
Okay, so on PBS...
You know, the Zaboomafoo?
Yeah.
Those were the Krat Brothers.
Oh.
They then had a show called the Krat Brothers where they did more animal-based things.
Well, that actually came out before Zaboomafoo.
Yeah.
And then they had the Wild Kratts, which is a fully animated show that's still going on to this day.
Is it still fucking going?
Where they voice themselves in an animated show. And it's the same kind of stuff, except Zaboomafoo's not there anymore because the
lemur that played Zaboomafoo died a while ago.
Rip a real one.
Turns out lemurs don't live as long as humans.
You tell me lemurs aren't immortal?
Yeah, surprisingly, no, they're not.
Oh.
But yeah, we start with a live action.
Guys, I gotta go.
But yeah, we start with the live action bit, and Ronald is in his bed sleeping, and his bed's just a fucking burger. Like, his bun is the mattress.
Not to get into spoilers, but his bed might be the best thing in this show.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of the bed, envious of the bed even.
Like, the very bottom of the bed is a mattress that is a bun. I don't think we see any meat in the sandwich. I think he's supposed to be the meat.
He is the meat. Have you seen him? Have you seen that booty?
Bro, he is dummy thick.
And then there's tomato, which is like this weird like pillow thing. And then there's lettuce, which is a blanket, cheese, which is a blanket, and then the top bun, which is a blanket.
A big comforter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that top bun looks so comfy.
Dude, the bed's the best part.
And he's woken up by his weird Muppet puppet dog Sunday.
Because all of the McDonald's characters are based around the McDonald's menu. So Sunday the dog
looks nothing like a sundae.
But he is ice cream. That's the gimmick.
It looks like he has ice cream all the way around his mouth. He has a white highlight around his red ass lips.
It's because he's a clown dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't consider that either.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought he was eating a bunch of ice cream.
And Ronald's house is like the weird fusion between like Pee Wee Herman's house and just 90s aesthetic with like the bright colors and everything.
Honestly, his house is a lot like the Big Comfy Couch.
Yeah.
The house from the Big Comfy Couch. This is also before Hunter's time.
Before my time.
He has a blank look on his face. Like,
no.
I mean, mind you, though, if we're talking like around the same time as Big Comfy Couch, everyone knows that the Big Blue Bear and a Big Blue House is so much better.
Seen. The puppeteering in that show is much
fantastic.
better.
But my God.
The bear in the Big Blue House never had any moments that scarred me. The living dust bunnies that like lived underneath the Big Comfy Couch and consumed all of the trash and anything that fell underneath
Those
there.
were weird, man.
What the fuck were you guys watching?
Basically acid trips on PBS.
Yeah, man.
I assume that's what those people were doing when they made the shows.
But, so, this opening, we get a bad, in my opinion, song.
The opening song is okay. It's fine for an opening song. It's a bit too long.
It's a generic song just about, like, waking up and it's a beautiful day, so you need to play outside.
It's a beautiful morning.
Yeah, and it's just Ronald going through a montage. It's super long.
Way too long. And then... red emergency light goes off. It's a call on the video phone.
I like how he has an emergency light for his phone.
Yeah.
Every time a friend calls, it's an emergency. God damn it!
Yeah.
You know,
Got to be there for the homies.
what you're saying is McDonald's is actually a fantastic friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro, he went on a whole adventure in the next episode for his buddy. He definitely didn't want that treasure.
So then he slides down a fireman's pole to go answer his phone. His dog also slides down a fireman's pole. I don't question things.
Yeah, I don't know how he gripped it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because he distinctly in this episode, on multiple occasions, will mention his lack of hands.
Yeah. So he gets a call from his friend Tika, who is a young child, and he is a full-grown clown. There's no issues there. And they're going to go camping. There's no
Just the
parental
two of them.
oversight. Yeah.
Just the two of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Ronald's like, hey, we should invite all our friends, and everybody should meet me at my car in my garage in 5 minutes.
And Tika, you should call them.
Yeah, and then all of Ronald's friends proceed to call Ronald.
Yeah, we spend the next 5 minutes just like talking to Ronald's friends, even though it was Tika's job to call
Yeah,
them.
we talk to Grimace and Birdie. We actually don't talk to Hamburglar, the Fry Kids, or the Nuggets.
No, they don't matter.
Yeah.
Nuggets and Fry Kids are tag-alongs. They're not friends.
And honestly, I think Burglar...
Emergency food.
I think Hamburglar's just there in case...
Like soup.
I think Hamburglar's just there so
Like
Ronald's
Chopper.
like, if I leave him alone, he's going to destroy the entire economy of
That's where that joke's from.
my business, so I have to take him anywhere I go.
Yeah, I think if Ronald McDonald left... it's called McDonald Land, so I think if Ronald left McDonald Land and Hamburglar wasn't... It's like the opposite of a witness protection program.
Yeah. It's the whole, like, okay, you gotta cross a river, but you have a fox, a goat, and a bag of grain. How are you gonna do it? You can't leave Hamburglar behind, but you don't really want to take him with you either. Yeah.
Hamburglar, I'll be real, he's probably one of the better parts about the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, he's voiced by the guy who plays Chicken in Cow and Chicken, so.
Honestly, this show has way too much, like, actual voice acting talent.
Yeah.
Between Charlie Adler, the Hamburglar, and then also Kevin Michael Richardson as Grimace, and also apparently King Gunga. He voices both of those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course you got the people from Rugrats that make their way into this show.
Yeah, because I think we failed to mention the animated portion of this show after Ronald talks to all his friends and he hops down some kind of large slide with
He
balls
jumps
in it.
into a ball pit
With a
within
slide at the
slide,
bottom.
which just sounds dangerous.
Honestly, nightmare fuel. Like, could you imagine, like, as a small child, you watched this, and that was your first exposure to ball pits?
How do they not fall down the slide?
Like, you'd go into, like, a McDonald's or a Chuck E. Cheese's or something and be like...
Bro, they just copied Alice in Wonderland.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
But it's it's made by the same dude who animated Rugrats.
Yeah. Same
Klasky
studio.
Kuspo.
I'm awful with names, so
Kuspo,
thank you.
Soup?
Supo, I think?
Klasky Supo. Yeah, that's what it is.
But so they dive into this.
Also, while we're on this topic, the music is by the same people that did the music for Rugrats, and by that we mean 2 of the members of Devo.
Yeah, which is weird, but I mean,
a lot of music in this show.
also kind of fits Devo's aesthetic still, which is odd. So anyways, they dive into this ball pit, and going down the slide, they then turn into their animated versions.
And now the show is no longer live action, it is an animated cartoon.
Yes. And they arrive in Ronald's garage.
And as will become the norm, Sunday complains about the landing because they land in a ball pit, and he's like, that hurt, you need to really invest in stairs.
Yeah.
Bro, I'd rather take the slide.
Agreed.
Me too.
So then they walk over to like this weird trap door landing pad thing.
It does bring up a question. Sunday says he should invest in stairs, implying that there are not already stairs. So how do they get back up? Because so far we've only seen...
No, they go back up like the same way they go back up the fire pole. They just go to the end and then they shoot back up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Magic.
Gravity doesn't work.
But with just as much speed and force, so when they go back up, they're
literal
shot
magic.
out of the ball.
Got it.
Yeah,
Literal magic.
At the end of the episode, we watch Ronald like fall out of the same slide, like above
that's
the ball
right.
pit.
Yeah. Yep.
So they go over to like this control panel by a weird trap door, and Ronald pushes a button. A car appears. It's alive.
There's a bunch of buttons on this console, and like they have different symbols. And the button that he presses is a tent symbol. So the car comes out, and then it drops a bunch of camping gear on top of the car.
Yeah, and then everyone shows up, and the car is upset that it has to carry all these people.
So here's my theory. What if McDonald Lands is just Borderlands, but way in the future, and that's a catch-a-ride machine? They won the corporate wars.
So McDonald Lands is the corporate rename of Pandora?
Yes.
I can see it, because I do think this world is a corporatocracy, which is why Ronald McDonald's suit has his name on the back. I think McDonald's are like the name for this class of overlord of clowns that runs certain sections of the world. Then Ronald just happens to be the head of state for this area.
He's Ronald McDonald, duh.
He has magic and he's a crazy inventor in this. And everyone knows him, and it's kind of terrifying, actually.
Everybody knows him, but simultaneously doesn't know him.
Yeah.
And he has approximate knowledge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange little show. Someone would even call it wacky. Silly, even.
Maybe in an adventure, in like a weird
I wouldn't
metaphysical
call
way.
it an adventure.
I mean, we go through a lot of stuff. It's not a good adventure, but it's an adventure.
So everybody shows up. The car talks, by the way, but only in this scene. The car is in 2 other scenes, but it's only in this scene that the car talks.
Yeah.
It's just to give like a stinger, like, I gotta carry all of ya.
Don't blame me when I sprang an axle.
Yeah.
How do you spring an axle?
I don't know, man. You hit a bump too hard.
Yeah, but wouldn't that just break the axle? Axles don't spring. They don't have like ligaments and tendons.
It's a weird living car. It's a weird living car, man. It might have ligaments and tendons.
Sentience, man. Like,
Yeah. Maybe it's made of flesh. You don't know.
We don't know if it has sentience. It could just be an AI program to like...
Is Ronald made from the car, or is the car made from McDonald's?
Look, it's actually just a language learning algorithm. We can't even really call it AI.
It's just ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
in the car.
Yeah.
So they all get in the car and they head to the campsite, and we get the first of way too many songs.
So I know typically the rule is for shows we review, one or both of us have never seen them before, but
Yeah.
I own this VHS somewhere.
And we have seen it before, but the last time I saw it, I was probably like 4 or 5.
I probably haven't watched this show since about then.
Yeah. What I can tell you is, I used to think this song was a banger.
He was wrong. Very wrong.
Oh, so wrong.
I used to hate these VHSs, and I'm gonna go ahead and ruin it for you guys. I still do.
What? Why would you do that? Why'd you spoil the whole show?
I don't know what you're talking about. This song is still a banger.
No.
At least this song has continuity with the scene. Like,
Yes,
they are
it
still
is-
in the car, they are
it
singing
is-
about the car ride,
Yeah, it is diegetic to the story.
but they repeat the same chorus,
Like 3 times.
and then they're there.
Yeah.
And
they
the
all
entire time, Sunday is asking, "Are we there yet?"
Yeah, and they all yell yay when they get there. You know what? I think this is the one time I relate with the characters, because I'm also happy they arrived, because they stopped fucking singing.
And then they go on a hike. They were just going camping initially, but they go on a full-blown hike because, well,
Ronald's not following the path, and he's the one who decides where they get to set up camp.
yeah.
Yeah, because even though it was Tika's idea, because she has supposedly never been camping before, Ronald gets to decide where they go.
Again, because he's in charge of the corporatocracy in this area.
Yeah, so
Obviously.
kind of follow him around.
Yeah.
Everybody buddies up at Ronald's command because, again, he's the corporate leader. Pairings don't really matter. The only thing that matters here is that while they're tropping through the forest, the Nuggets jump on Grimace's backpack,
Only 2 of them. The third
Yeah.
one disappears.
and that A camera pops out of a tree to spy on them.
And Birdie notices it. And one other important thing, Tika drops a walkie-talkie.
A single walkie-talkie. And then she makes it awkward instead of just being like, oh yeah, I brought walkie-talkies.
She just then say like, oh, I wonder where I put the other one. Instead of being like, yeah, no, only one of the walkie-talkies fell out, obviously.
Yeah, but she got to make it seem like she lost the second one, so she doesn't have to give it to anybody.
Yeah. So they eventually make it to camp, and then we get a setting up camp song.
Which is also a banger.
No. And it has not only the repeated lines constantly, it also repeats animation multiple times, which is perfectly fine.
Because
use your animation again. I'm all for it. But don't use it again like 3 to 5 seconds later.
Look,
then
song,
we have problems.
The song would have been too short if they didn't repeat. And you know,
They got 40 minutes of airtime they got to fill.
A good song has to fill a certain amount of time. And this is a banger of a song, so it did its job.
All the music in the background is good.
Yeah, the actual instrumentals are fine.
I will dare say good. It's the phoned in singing.
Yeah.
All of the characters do their own singing.
Which is
And
maybe
I think,
not a good idea.
And I think at least in the case of a couple of the characters, their voice actors are literal children.
Yeah.
I haven't confirmed that, but that's my suspicion. I think
not
Tika,
a great time.
I think Tika's voiced by an actual child.
Which if she is, I mean, like,
Yeah, that's
she's doing
fine.
a decent job, but the singing is mid.
Yeah.
Decent is a stretch.
So they get camp set up after they're singing, and
we kind of missed two things. There was a gag with a squirrel that Sunday chased, and a giant squirrel, which that gag that has no payoff at all.
Now Sunday just chases him, a small squirrel, and then a bigger squirrel with camo shorts comes out in a chain.
yeah.
But when they take their break on their hike before they get to where they set up camp, Hamburglar is like, I'm gonna scare everybody, and has a whistle that a bear call that like supposed to summon a bear, and he's like, I wonder if this will work. And then a bear appears behind him and goes, yep, it worked. And then there's this chase scene with really good music,
Yeah.
where the bear chases them all around, only to eventually be duped through a magic door that McDonald makes appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, he uses the map that they were using to find like where they were camping as just like a pull down door.
Yeah.
Where he just opens it and puts the bear inside, and
then the door disappears.
Yep.
And then the camp sets up.
And Hamburglar is deciding to tell them all a scary story.
The story of the far-flung phantom, a story that Tika told in the car on the way to the forest.
Yeah, to scare Grimace.
But Grimace wasn't really listening, so Hamburglar is going to reiterate the story.
Yeah.
because we're too stupid to remember 15 minutes ago.
I
mean, those songs did kill quite a few brain cells.
We should mention that at the very beginning in the live action segment, Sunday was watching scary movies, and so like there's this whole like scary thing trope, and a trope of Sunday being like scared, or Sunday having nightmares if he listens or watches scary stuff.
Yeah, being easily frightened. So as Hamburglar is getting ready to tell the story about the far-flung phantom, Ronald takes Sunday off into the woods so he doesn't hear it.
And Sunday's like, but he was just about to tell the story. Why would I want to leave now? And McDonald's like, because nightmares.
You're gonna get scared, but it sounds like Sunday wants to be scared. It sounds like he lives for that thrill.
I mean, being scared is fun.
Agreed. You get that adrenaline.
In a controlled environment, being scared is fun. It's why people like horror movies. It's why people like haunted houses. It's why people like being kidnapped and tortured.
Yeah.
I don't know about that last one.
But
Controlled environments.
I mean, I don't think I enjoyed being kidnapped and made to watch the show.
I think it was the other way around, actually.
Nobody kidnapped you. At least not as far as the passengers are concerned.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have other things we can torture you with. I distinctly recall a kiss sis.
God, no!
I don't want to put myself through that, so you're safe for now.
Listening to the episode was enough.
Yeah. So Ronald and Sunday are off. They're kind of just talking. They don't talk about anything important. And then they hear screams because Hamburglar has decided to hoist up a fake ghost and swing it around camp to scare everyone.
They do see a house up on a hill.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like a lightning flash.
Big scary house.
Big scary house. Big scary, typical scary house.
Lightning bolts striking it, bats flying from it. Somehow cobwebs on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you can technically have cobwebs outside, right?
I mean, technically it's just a collection of dust and such, so you could.
Yeah, but the rain would just like wash it off. It was raining in the episode, or it does rain.
Yeah, the rain should wash it off, but technically they could form and then almost immediately be destroyed.
Anyways, like you said, screaming at camp, Ronald and Sunday make their way back. The Hamburglar is outed as being the cause of...
Yeah. Ronald recruits Grimace to tackle the ghost as it comes by. They do that, it pulls the rope down, Hamburglar gets pulled up and over the branch they hoisted it over. And then he falls down, and instead of falling down where they are, where the rope should lead him, because he holds it all the way into the ground, he falls next to everyone else he was scaring, on top of a pile of rope that's no longer connected to a ghost. And then when he stands up, the rope's gone, and then when we turn the camera, the rope's back.
And Ronald and Grimace have to walk over to him.
Yeah.
I think you're focusing way too much on the animation inconsistencies. Like I know we made that our bread and butter in episode 1 with the shirt that had gloves that didn't have gloves that had gloves.
I mean, I still want that shirt. I want a shirt with gloves built in. I want a dress shirt with built-in gloves.
But I don't think we need to dissect the animation of a Klasky Supo.
I just want some goddamn continuity in my children's shows. That's all I want.
Okay, guys, I'm the odd one out. I like the music,
exactly.
and I think the continuity.
I want there to be 3 chicken nuggets, goddammit, not 2.
I want at least a 4-piece because otherwise, what am I paying for?
Why aren't there 4 chicken nuggets? Why are there only 3?
I don't think they've
Has
ever
McDonald's ever had a 3-piece nugget
I don't
meal?
think so. I was just about to say that. I don't think they've ever had a 3-piece nugget.
The kids? No, I think it's only...
Yeah, kids meal's 4-piece.
You know, we might be questioning too much. There are the fry kids that are just living koosh balls. They're not fries.
No, they are fries. They're different colored fries in a ball form.
No.
Yes, that's what they are.
No, they are koosh balls, and I will not hear otherwise.
The fry guys are actual French fries, but as a ball. If you stuck them inside of a cardboard container, they would look like French fries. That's the point.
No,
they've never had a 3-pack.
So
4, 6, 10, 20, and 50.
I think the conclusion we're reaching here is there was once a 4th McNugget.
Grimace ate him.
No, he's the milkshake monster, man.
No, Justice was right. Grimace is a burnt McNugget.
He's the 4th chicken McNugget. We got there. We figured it out. So he's also a combination of fry grease. Bro, it's full circle. He's the embodiment of Ronald McDonald of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Make Grimace the mascot. Put my boy in the clown suit.
He's our new corporate overlord.
So it starts raining, and then they all run into the big spooky mansion they saw.
Hey. First, there's some lightning, and Ronald's like, I think it's just heat lightning. And then it gets to start raining, and then Sunday gets to do his Sunday thing and be like, I think it's not just heat lightning.
So at the start of this episode, when he was talking to Tika on the phone, when Ronald was, he pulled out a broken weather scanner that
I believe he called it his weatherometer.
Yeah, that spins around. You hear it go as it breaks, and then in his house, Ronald licks his finger, puts it in the air, and goes, "I don't think it's going to rain." Inside of his basement.
Yeah.
And then it starts raining here. Mm-hmm. And he displays even more magic and makes those magic flower umbrellas that instantly get blown away.
Yeah. So they head into the spooky house, and they get in, and the door shuts and closes behind them, and Grimace freaks out because now they can't get out. But Tika's chill and super happy. She's just like, yo, there's lights, there's definitely people here, it's all good.
And then we get the 3rd song.
Which, the music for it is fantastic.
The 3rd song is also a bop.
It gives me the music, not the lyrics, gives me Scooby-Doo vibes.
Yeah, but the really good Scooby-Doo music from What's New Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, like Josh is saying, the bops.
Yeah.
I mean, this entire song bops. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So they wander around this mansion thing, and stuff's just moving in the background or transforming.
It looks haunted, but nobody's reacting to it but Grimace.
Yeah.
He's obviously the scared one. Everybody else is just singing about it. They're just looking at it.
I really like the idea that in a group of 8 people, only the one who is typically the scaredy cat reacts to the obviously haunted mansion. Everybody else is like, that picture just changed right in front of me, or
there's a skeleton hand that just lifted out of this floorboard, but that's fine.
There's a monster in a door.
Or this coat rack is mimicking me and following me around. But, that's all normal stuff.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah, part of the ceiling just fell down and flew away. Who cares?
The door I just tried to open flew away like a bat.
Yeah.
But only Grimace is, upset by any of this.
Yeah. So they all eventually join... you were saying something?
I said it's reasonable. It's reasonable to be upset.
And so they all join up in one room and decide that they need to figure out what's going on. And then they're in another room. And there's 3 doors.
Yeah, there's 3 doors.
With no doorknobs.
And the fry kids are like, man, we've been opening doors our entire life. Ain't no lack of doorknob gonna stop us.
Well, before they do that, Hamburglar points out the doorknob thing, and they're like, what do we do? And a giant hologram head appears.
This giant head just reminds me of something from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't specifically say what.
The face shape kind of reminds me of Muriel's nephew Harold.
Okay.
The one who likes scissors and wants to cut Courage's hair.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's the voice that does it for me.
Understandable.
The voice just sounds like a Courage the Cowardly Dog, like villain when he pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, but the hologram says that the secret to get through here is to have patience and make sure everything's on your plate.
And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
A
and then the
fucking
Fry
plate.
guys are like, we've been opening doors our whole life.
They go kick on the door, and an obvious trap door opens underneath them, and they fall to their death.
Yeah.
No,
The Fry kids are gone forever.
you don't see them ever again.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is the only episode they're in.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're
you,
dead.
You don't even see them after this. You don't even see them at the end of the
So
episode.
yeah, the Fry kids canonically die in this scene.
Yeah, I'll put that in my world notes. The Fry kids are dead.
Yep.
Let me.
So then Tika finds a clue. By a clue, we mean a giant printed on the floor plate.
I don't know if it's printed on the floor because the fork and knife look 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
The plate does not. The plate looks like a big rug.
Yeah. So they all go stand over on the plate, wait a moment, and then the door opens. Yay.
We get like 3 seconds of them posing
Yeah.
on the plate, and then Birdie goes, "Look, it's working. Let's go to the door."
Yeah. So they get through the door and
So they go through the door. They go up the stairs to another door
To a hallway of doors.
where Ronald goes, "Let's start checking these doors."
And like this is one of those scenes where like they blatantly reuse audio because at the very beginning, when Tika points out that there's a light on further in the house, and somebody goes, I think Grimace goes, "But who's gonna go first?" Ronald goes,
yeah.
"Don't worry, guys, I'll lead the way." And here, when the door opens and it leads up the stairs, Grimace again goes, "But who's gonna go first?"
Yeah.
And Ronald goes, "Don't worry, guys, I'll lead the way."
Same thing. It's just like they copy and pasted the line.
Yeah. So they get into this hallway full of doors, and they're looking around, and they see a door with a phone booth symbol outside of it. And so they go over to the door after Birdie points out, hey, it looks like there's a phone booth, which it doesn't look like a phone booth. It's a normal door, but with a phone symbol on the outside.
Yeah, so the phone booth door, this gives me some like Evil Within / Resident Evil vibes. Just because of like the ambiance of the house. And
The hallway's like dark and dingy with like a grayish olive green wall.
I did make a Resident Evil joke.
And then
when
a
we
dark
watched-
like aged wood door.
I did make a Resident Evil joke when we watched through it together about changing out the shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, because they go in this room, and then the walls immediately start to shrink. So Josh was just like, "It's not that hard. All they got to do is take down the take down the good shotgun, and put the broken shotgun up in its place."
I did miss that joke. That's a good one. That's on me.
Which, you know what? Because of the Resident Evil vibes, wouldn't one just assume that like a room with like a phone booth on it symbol in this house we haven't seen anything else is probably just like the safe room where you can save?
Yeah, like because in the Evil Within, you don't you like pick up a phone, or like in one of the Resident Evil games, you pick up a phone to like save your progress.
I think it's Evil Within where you can save with like a phone looking like thing.
Resident Evil is typically a typewriter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I think
you're right.
once it was a computer where they still typed on. I think in one of like the Files games.
I don't remember.
I don't know though.
What I know is that it's typically a typewriter because there's a keyboard that came with Resident Evil 2 remake in the Japanese pre-order of Resident Evil 2 remake.
It was a mechanical keyboard, but it was a typewriter.
An Umbrella branded typewriter, and it has like mechanical keys and
yeah. And Josh really wanted to get it.
Bro,
it's like $1,100 for one of those now.
dude, pre-order bonuses used to be so cool.
They did. But so this room crushes
that was
in on
pretty
them.
Recent because that was the remake.
Oh, the remake.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the OG.
Yeah, that was the remake 2019, 2020, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good pre-order.
I mean, the American pre-release stuff wasn't nearly as good. It was like a Jill statue.
Yeah, it was a Jill statue.
Not even like a really good looking one either. It was just like, eh.
Rough indeed. I wanted the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, bro. The keyboard, you could use
It also
the
came with
keyboard to
fake ink
display
ribbons.
it.
Yeah.
It came with fake ink ribbons as well, which was nice.
And the whole thing for the Japanese one was like in a mini, well, not mini because it fit like full mechanical keyboard, but like a small storage box based off the storage boxes in the Resident Evil game.
Oh, bro, that's so sick.
Yeah, yeah. Capcom, bring it to America.
I know,
please.
like he was originally looking at, it and he was like, "Okay, it was like I think $300 for the pre-order."
The pre-order was $400, but I would have also had to pay for shipping to America. And
then he was looking at it, and was like, "Oh, I can't just get it shipped straight here. I have to buy it through some third-party individual in Japan and have them ship it." And like there were ways to do it, but he's like, none of the things looked very safe or reliable.
I can't
and he's like,
blame you.
I don't want to spend $400 to buy it for someone else, and then they just won't send it.
Yeah, that's fair. But when's the Ronald McDonald Resident Evil crossover gonna happen?
I don't know. I also, based on the next episode, kind of want Ronald in Smash.
Yeah,
put him in the Nickelodeon game.
Look, we just
got
got
to
to make
so much sense because like Klasky
Supo did a lot of the Nickelodeon stuff. Yeah,
like this would be a really like on point
Put that version of Ronald in.
That'd be so good.
Dummy thick. That's his down smash. He just butt slams.
So this room closes on them, and they don't escape. They do get crushed by this room. And then the door pops
off. That is the end of the episode. Yeah. It's the end of the series. I said there were 6 episodes, but they all die here.
So they all do get crushed into a cube, and then...
The accordion span out?
Well, they kind of all just fall off because they're all on top of Sunday, and Sunday just walks out, and then they all kind of accordion expand away from him.
Which, I mean, how strong is Sunday if he's not only, like, not getting crushed by this wall, but, like, also carrying all of these people?
He grew!
Yeah. Including Grimace, who is, like, 1,000 pounds, canon?
Yeah, he's 900 pounds.
They do mention that in the next episode.
He is minimum 900 pounds.
Damn, fat-shaming my boy.
Yeah. So from here, they make their way into a library study thing.
Mm-hmm. And Hamburglar finds a lever next to a fireplace.
A blatant lever, by the way. Not like, a candlestick or a fake book. No, it's just...
An actual lever.
Actual lever.
And he pulls a lever, and the 2 nuggets disappear. There's a wall that turns and kidnaps the 2 McNuggets.
Yes.
Where's the 3rd McNugget? Nobody knows.
But, hey, the 3rd McNugget will manage later to find the other 2, so that's fine.
Then
he pulls it again, despite everyone being like, don't pull random levers.
Ronald's like, hey, we should just not touch anything until we can figure out what's going on and how to get to the next level. He says how to get to the next level. That's not me.
Yeah.
He does verbatim say until we get to the next level, because apparently now they know it's a game.
And immediately after he says, hey, we shouldn't touch anything, Hamburger goes, well, what if I put it back? And moves it back in the direction.
And these glass panes rise up, and then they fog up and turn into mirrors. And now they're in a mirror maze that they have to get out.
And then we get the floating head again, and it gives another riddle.
It's just giving you the general advice of, hey, if you put your hand on a wall, left or right, really, but it says left hand, on the wall and follow it, you'll make your way out of the maze eventually.
There's a lot of ways that you, as a maze designer, you can break that rule.
Yeah, you have a free floating wall.
But in general, it's a fine advice.
And then they have a bad song about it, but it does use the song from the beginning of the Haunted Mansion area, which is good. It uses the same music there, but then they have bad lyrics over it again.
And the entire time they sing the song, nobody has their hand on a wall.
Despite the song being about how you should keep your left hand on the wall to find your way out. Yeah.
It's really not like they start caring about the left hand thing until like the last like verse of the song. And then they start animating it to where like characters will briefly touch the wall with their hand.
Yeah. They eventually manage to get their way out, and the end of the maze is a door that has a mirror on the backside of it. So, like, kind of a cheap way to do this maze, because, like, if you're not pushing on every active portion of wall, because we see Ronald actually pushing against to open the door, you're not going to find your way out.
And that motherfucker uses his right hand.
Yeah.
He lied to us.
He's a liar. We should never trust him.
And a thief.
To be fair, McDonald is magic. Maybe he has 2 left hands.
You make a fair point. His hand could have just been inverted so it looked like a right hand. He is wearing gloves.
He's a clown. I don't trust those motherfuckers.
It is weird to me that they made a clown, like, not just an inventor, but also, like, magic.
He's literally magic.
Like, if he had just had, like, a pocket dimension or, like, hammer space, that makes sense.
No, man. He can pull doors out of maps. Earlier, he walked through thin air and then walked back.
Like, I mean, a lot of people walk through thin air.
He walked on thin air.
Yeah, he walked on thin air. Sorry. Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't know. I don't know what the humidity was. It was about the storm. The air could have been thicker than normal.
Yeah, bro. He was bodying the air as he was walking through it. That's why he's so thick. It's not the Big Macs. It's the fact that the humidity in McDonald Land is so strong, he gets a fucking crazy glute workout every time he walks outside.
I like this theory, except Hamburglar also lives in McDonald Land and is not near as thick.
Maybe it's so it's not the hamburgers then. We can rule out the hamburgers.
Yeah.
Because Hamburglar eats more hamburgers than McDonald, and his thighs aren't that dummy thick.
Maybe it's just clown magic. Maybe clown magic just makes you dummy thick.
He stores it all in the ass cheeks.
Gotta store that magic somewhere.
So they exit the mirror maze and they find themselves in a room, just a plain room. It's got a door on the other side. They walk over, the door moves away from them to another wall. And honestly, I saw this and I was like, this would be like a good puzzle for a D&D game.
I agree.
I was like, this is actually kind of clever. I like it.
No, this is the one puzzle they get to, and I'm like, this is actually like interesting. It's simple. It's interesting. Like, what
and
are
their
we gonna do
solution
here?
Isn't bad either. They're all like, well, what if we form a circle and then all slowly walk back equidistantly from each other towards the walls, so the door won't have anywhere to go.
And it works. By the way, it was Grimace's idea.
Yeah,
it was the birthday boy's idea.
What? My boy, Grimace.
And by we mean it works, it means we mean they walk through the walls, because the walls aren't real.
They're holograms.
Yes. And so then the head appears angry that they made it this far. And Tika says, I can't believe we made it this far. I've never gotten this far in here before. And no one addresses it.
Hamburglar does go, what?
Yeah.
And then nothing happens.
Yeah. And now it's time for everyone to get their own individual riddle that no one can help on until
Somebody
we realize
can.
we're running out of time, so people have to help.
Tika's first riddle is the classic, what gets bigger the more you take away?
The answer is a hole. She gets it wrong and falls into a hole.
And then Birdie and Hamburger get a riddle together. They can work on it together. And it's, what can you feel outside, hear inside, and only see when there's dust? And this riddle is bullshit. You can also see it when there's snow, rain, leaves,
Water.
Particulate,
You
water.
can feel it inside too because we have a thing called fans.
And the answer is wind.
Yeah.
Like,
Hamburger said mothballs, bro. I was like,
yeah.
to be fair, Birdie said a
mop dust.
yeah, that also awful answers.
So Ronald comes to the conclusion, because Birdie and Hamburger get blown away by wind, Ronald comes to the conclusion that, whatever we get wrong, the answer is what's going to deal with us.
Hold on.
So I like the implications for what that means for his riddle.
Him and Grimace were gonna fight to the death.
His riddle's answer is...
Ronald, I don't want to be left alone. I'm sorry, Grimace. You wield the spear.
So yeah, because Ronald's answer to his riddle is friendship. So yeah, I think they would just have to fight to the death. That would have been what would happen if they'd gotten it wrong.
Holy shit! I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad that neither of us, like me or Hunter, like got the implication of that until this very moment. Holy shit!
Yeah, gladiatorial fights to the death.
We've all seen Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like whenever Thor and Hulk are in the arena together, I just imagine Grimace wearing like the Hulk, like
Grimace wearing the Hulk stuff, and then Ronald fucking pulls out like an inflatable hammer because he's a clown.
Yeah.
And they just do the exact fight from Thor.
But live action now.
Yeah.
We jump right back.
Right back to live action, and it's a guy in the fucking Grimace costume.
I don't know why they didn't use any of the live action assets at the start of the show. Like, they have a Grimace costume. They even use it at the end of next episode.
Because the Grimace costume is honestly frightening. That's why.
Yeah, kind
I
of.
love the Grimace costume. The Grimace costume is better than the reflective animation they had to do on the Grimace in here.
Yeah.
He looks like a shiny potato.
Yeah. So
Like, Grimace is terrifying.
I love him.
So the
He's a
head
little
gets
man.
upset that they got it right, and he's like, well, you weren't supposed to do that. Give me a moment. I'll come back after I figure out what to do with you. And so they leave, and Sunday notices that there's just a film camera sitting there.
No. Sunday notices a wire on the ground.
Yeah, that leads to a film camera that's just been standing there the whole time.
And not like a small film camera, like the type of camera
Studio
you shoot,
film camera.
Yeah, with a studio, and it has like a light rig on it too. And it's just been sitting there the entire fucking
Like
time.
in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
It's just like, and Ronald turns and he goes, oh!
So
So
then
then-
Sunday has to sniff the rest of the cable out instead of just, following it normally.
It's too dark. So they make these.
Yeah, it's too dark, but they can see the obvious camera now.
Yeah,
And they can see the cable that he carried
because
over
it's a
to him.
camera.
They have
And he could-
object permanence, man. But they have object permanence. When they see it, it's there. When they look away, it's not.
But they find their way to a door, open it, and there's a kid at this weird computer setup / organ looking thing, and Tika and the McNuggets are there.
Yeah, and like the McNuggets were like, you would have never got McDonald here if it wasn't for us to begin with. And Tika's like, you're just upset because they beat your stupid game. And he's like, they haven't beat me yet.
I just gotta do some differential calculus to figure out what to do.
He was selling riddles. I don't know what calculus is
like-
going to do. Is he going to give, like...
I mean, maybe he's using differential calculus to determine, like, the rate at which these holograms need to move. Maybe he's doing all of it on the fly, like moving each individual model by itself.
I just think he's going to make Ronald McDonald take the SAT.
Honestly, terrifying.
Maybe the ACT if he's really feeling fishy.
Also the ASVAB for the funs of it.
Yeah, just give him all three of them. All three of them.
Back to back, let's go.
Anyways, change scenes very quickly from here. And the kid's name is Franklin, and his last name is Quizzical.
Yeah, because we know his dad shows up and is just like, I told you not to use the virtual reality stuff to scare people. I only use it for good.
And yeah, his father is Dr. Quizzical. There's this whole like, oh shucks, you've been using the stuff to do bad stuff.
To scare people.
And then Franklin becomes their friend, and Dr. Quizzical drives them all back to the campsite, and
But-
Franklin gets to camp with them.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't see him drive. They just kind of like appear back at the campsite. Go,
Yeah.
Yay. We did get to watch Franklin throw a tantrum though, like an actual child's temper tantrum. Which
Yeah.
I do think the important thing to point out here is we had a poignant point and idea that we mentioned long ago at the very beginning when we started doing this show. And it was that every show is Batman. And I'd like to point out that Ronald's art here looks very similar to the Joker. If you just made his nose not red and dyed his hair green.
Joker. The worst iteration of the Joker there's ever been. Dreadlock Joker.
But he looks like he could be a Joker. Just remove the red nose and turn his hair green. And he just met knockoff Edward Nygma.
Franklin Quizzical.
F. Quizzical. And I'm pretty sure this is just the origin stories of the Riddler and Joker getting to know one another.
Dude, McDonald Land is gonna become the new Gotham.
And Grimace will be our Batman.
Bro.
Yes.
So, bro, I can't wait for this to get picked up on the CW.
Dude, the CW loves everything DC vaguely related.
But dude, the CW will be able to run with this. Tika gets to be like, what, Catgirl or whatever? I don't fucking know. Or Batgirl?
Yeah.
Batgirl. She wouldn't be Catwoman or whatever.
The Nugget, because we have 3 Nuggets, they are just the 3 iterations of Robin we've had.
And the reason why there's not a 4th one is because Jason Todd died.
Yeah.
Bro got beat to death with a crowbar. By Ronald! No! Ronald, why?
And then Birdie is Batwoman.
Holy shit.
Bro, give me my Arkham Knight mod, please. It's coming to Switch. Somebody give me the mod.
I want the CW version of this show so badly.
Coming to the CW.
Okay,
the wacky and silly adventures of Gotham.
We do jump back to the real world after they get all back to the campsite. There's a little bit of Birdie roasting Hamburglar, but like Hunter pointed out earlier,
it's more sexual tension.
Yeah, they're definitely shipping them. So, who's a villain that Hamburglar could be?
He's the Penguin.
Oh, yeah. So, we're shipping Batwoman and the Penguin in the CW show. Let's do it. It's a thing.
I mean, he could be Black Mask then. It would make more sense.
Black Mask makes more sense.
Because Black Mask actively participates in robbing things more than Penguin does.
Okay, fine. The color scheme matches better, too.
Also, technically, the old Hamburglar wears a black eye mask at the very least.
That's true.
Anyways,
he brings up a good point.
After that, Ronald and Sunday bounce back to the real world.
Coming out of their anti-gravity slide that shoots them in front of the ball pit that they went down.
Yeah.
And then the two of them with some popcorn watch the sequel to the horror movie that Sunday was watching at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where we end, except for the bumper at the end where Ronald McDonald just says, "Hey, it's me, Ronald McDonald. I hope to see you at McDonald's soon.
I hope to see you live and in person.
Yeah.
Does not want to see you dead and in virtual reality."
Fuck. That was my plan.
Hey man, he got my money. I did not see Ronald McDonald at the McDonald's we went to though.
What a letdown.
When I got picked up that food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel kind of scammed.
What are your guys' thoughts after episode 1 of the Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald?
You want to take thoughts first?
I'll let you go first.
So I've been a little facetious. The music is actually kind of garbage. That said, all the background music in this show,
the instrumental stuff is fine, and then the background music where they don't sing,
would all eventually will get recycled into Rugrats episodes later. So that's cool. The fact that this show has such an astoundingly talented voice cast and like an insanely like famous production studio working with it, and then fucking Devo making the music, I would expect it to be a lot better than it is, and it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, Hunter.
It's basically ditto. Obviously my nostalgia made me feel like this was a lot better than it was. Going into this, I thought it was more than just 6 episodes.
Nostalgia is a lie. You should know that by now.
Yeah, my fog-tinted glasses, my rose-tinted glasses. I like the animation style, because I like Rugrats. The music, all the instrumental is killer, but they don't know how to transition scenes without music. Like, they can't just have good, like, story beats. It's like, why couldn't we go from the library to a separate mirror maze? Why did we all of a sudden, like, just jump into a mirror maze? I really, that's one of my biggest hiccups, is that it just does not transition well. None of the transitions are good. But like the voice acting's good. Like you can tell somebody actually cared about this, because like you said when we were watching it, the person who had to do all the reflections on Grimace, bro, they took time to do that.
Yeah, they were well done, and they followed this sort of like accurately as well.
Like everything but the writing of this show on paper should be good.
Yeah, like I agree with the music points as well. On a note for the live action, I have issues with Sunday. One, Sunday's design is weird, but like the puppet looks fine. But whoever they had as a puppeteer did not know how to fucking work that puppet at all.
I also don't know how to work that puppet.
I don't know either.
Neither do I, but I mean, there are people you could pay for it.
Sometimes he walks on 2 legs, sometimes he walks on all 4.
And his mouth is never well synced to the dialogue they give him.
No.
Which is a bad puppeteering sign.
I won't give them like shit for being able to see like like the seams of the puppet or anything like that. Like,
Or like it looking a bit coarse, because like they obviously didn't spend a huge amount of money on it, but it looked fine for what it was.
it looks like a McDonald's costume, and I
Yeah.
will give it the benefit of the doubt for that. Because
Yeah.
like I feel like McDonald's costumes almost have their own aesthetic.
Yeah, it's called cheap.
Yeah, exactly. But
Like their food was once upon a time.
It is actually wild how much inflation has hit McDonald's. There is no dollar menu anymore.
there is not a dollar menu anymore. It's weird. Like you could buy McChickens, bro. Fucking $3 for 3 of those bitches.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, especially when you take into account there have been multiple economic studies looking at like how fast food, especially things like McDonald's, can show you when you're in an economic crisis when the dollar menu increases a fuck ton. Or, you know, in this case, fucking disappears.
Anyways, on to episode 2.
And episode 2 is called, because I know you get upset when I say the name.
The Legend of Grimace Island. We get to learn where Grimaces come from.
Yeah.
Grimaces, not just Grimace himself.
Grimace is.
You see, when a mommy Grimace loves a daddy Grimace,
They take a normal chicken nugget and throw it in a fryer for way too long.
and now you got a baby Grimace.
Yeah.
And the reason we're talking about them as Grimaces is because Grimace is the name, as you will find, is the name of their race, their
Or
species,
Yeah.
but also Grimace's name. He calls other Grimaces by different names.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that song by Highly Suspect, My Name is Human.
Yeah. So we start
Never
this
heard of
episode
that.
in the live
Oh,
action
it's a
with...
banger. I gotta show you it sometime.
Yeah. So we start this
Highly
episode...
Suspect is just good. You would like them. They're a good rock band.
You think I'm thinking more like Being Human.
Being Human's a great show,
I
though.
love that show. It's the best.
So we start this episode in its live action, though, with Ronald assembling a ship in a bottle when the emergency light goes off and he's getting a call. So Sunday's like, I'll go check it out. Goes down the pole, finds Grimace, and then Grimace asks for Ronald. So Sunday goes back up the pole and grabs Ronald.
Yeah, and Ronald like does this jig to he does this jig all the way to the hole, and you think he's going to fall down.
Well, it's because he got his
Finger stuck in the bottle.
Yeah.
Because he had some pliers to mess with them, and then for whatever reason something broke, so he tried to shove his finger into the bottle, and then he does a jig back to the pole. It seems like he's gonna fall, but he just grabs it, slides down.
Honestly, we should have got a pratfall. It would have been better.
Yes, and then he continues to do the jig over to the chair with the bottle on his finger.
And then while he's sitting in the chair talking to Grimace, Sunday is working to pull the bottle off his finger, and it's like weird tension where Ronald is trying to not show that to Grimace, and
because he can't show weakness to those that he has power over.
'Cause it's a
They
video
might
call.
risk rebellion.
You think Grimace is gonna start a rebellion?
I mean, he's gonna be Batman, so yeah.
He did find his confidence, goddammit.
Exactly.
Bro, and he carried the nuggets around in the first episode.
Yeah, he cared
it's all
for them.
coming together.
everything is
Batman.
Oh man, no.
But anyways, Grimace got a letter, which the way he said "I got a letter" really just made me think of Blue's Clues.
I just
I would rather
got
watch
a
Blue's Clues
letter.
in this show.
We
I
just got a letter.
We just got a letter.
Wonder who it's from.
No, I'd rather watch Blue's Clues in this show.
Yes,
Me
I am.
too.
Like,
We should watch Blue's Clues later.
I had a my brain reminded me of Blue's Clues in the first episode when Tika found the place. Just like a clue.
a clue.
So we're reviewing Blue's Clues now, right?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, just pause this episode. Mid-episode intermission. We review the first 2 episodes of the Blue's Clues.
So Grimace decides to read his letter out loud because he hasn't yet, and it's just a plea from the island of Grimaces for him to come help them because they think they need him for something. They don't explain why. They're just in danger, and he's the only hope.
He's their last hope, Obi-Wan Grimnobi.
Yeah, they literally just parody the beginning of that, but just
They offer
About
him
Grimace.
their last piece of treasure. They're like,
Yeah.
come help us. You can have our last piece of treasure.
So Grimace recruits Ronald and friends.
And Ronald, without recruiting anybody else, goes and dives down into the ball pit that teleports him to the docks.
He verbatim says, Grimace, meet me at the docks. Grab
Yeah.
our new friend Franklin, and we'll get going.
Oh, maybe he has to say meet me at blank for the ball pit to take him there.
Maybe. It could be part of the magics.
Meet me at the car. Meet me at the docks.
Maybe he just wills it into existence.
He
That's
is
also entirely
literally
possible.
magic.
So they arrive at the docks, and Ronald pulls out... It's now animated, obviously, because they go through the slide. And Ronald pulls out his bottle, and...
Just dumps the ship into the bay.
It
And
comes out of the tiny hole somehow. It just
Yep.
So again, he's magic.
We've established this.
And then it grows into a full-size ship because Ronald McDonald is cribbing on Capsule Corp technology.
I want to clarify here. When we say Ronald McDonald is magic, that's not us interpreting the things he does as magic in the show. There was a scene in the first episode where Hamburglar is like, "I've got to make him use his magic. How can I make him use his magic?"
Yeah.
They discuss Ronald McDonald's magic. Nobody acts like Nobody else can perform magic.
Yeah.
It's literally a canon fact of the Ronald McDonald series that Ronald himself is a magical being.
Yeah, it's clown magic that they use to roll over those below them in their corporatocracy.
But can any clown do magic? If so, why doesn't Sunday?
Sunday is not a clown. Ronald just dresses him up like that for his amusement, like we do with our dogs.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Sunday is also not a dog. He's a homunculus.
That's why he can talk.
All these points make sense to me. I don't know why I even questioned it.
Yeah, that's where, so you know how his head of hair is like a big mop? That's where the fourth chicken nugget went.
No, the fourth chicken nugget is Grimace.
Yep.
I thought we'd established he was Jason. He was Jason.
Yeah, but like that's in the like CW version of the show.
Yeah, obviously
they take some liberties.
They're going to change from source material.
I'm imagining it's all one canon. They're all the same thing at the same time.
CW does
always changes the canon, man.
Yeah, always. Okay.
So they dump the ship out, and then we see Birdie's there having Franklin and Grimace load up her stuff along with Hamburglar, and she just has a giant chest with her filled with her fancy French perfumes, which she proceeds to spritz into her eyeballs.
You missed the rocks. They literally do the joke of, what do you got in the suitcase? Rocks? And she goes, yes, among other things.
Yeah,
she just says yes.
Well, but
yes,
she's rich, so when she says rocks, she means diamonds.
Yeah,
I just like to imagine they're actual rocks. She's a bird.
And then after they get this case of perfume and rocks loaded onto the ship, the Nuggets are talking about
finding the treasure.
Yeah, the island and the treasure, and there's a pirate hiding in the shadows. He's like, "Oh, I gotta tell my captain about treasure."
A literal peg-legged pirate.
Yes,
begins to monologue about the treasure.
So the Nuggets bump into him. And they're just like, wait, an actual pirate? We want to join you. So they go with the pirate instead of Ronald and friends.
And Ronald doesn't do a head count before they take off on the ship, so he doesn't realize he's missing 3 nuggets.
Because they're all lesser than him, and they have no real meaning.
The Nuggets didn't even talk to him, so maybe he was just like, oh, they're not coming.
They were just here to see everybody off.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even talk to Ronald.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess they never...
Dude, they just live at the docks.
Anyways, the ship takes off, and they're on their way, and they're on their way for a little bit before they realize they have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, because they talk about where the island is, and Grimace is like, oh, well, they got robbed a long time ago, and all their treasure taken except for their last one. So they did a Grimace dance in the middle to break the island away from the ocean floor, and they just floated away.
You do an all-purple flashback?
Yeah, it's like
to match Grimace's color scheme.
Yeah, it's like they're doing a sepia tone, gradient, but it's all purple and bad.
It kind of makes it hard to see, I'll be honest.
And when we talk about their treasure being stolen, it's by a very poor pastiche of
Aboriginal tribes.
Aboriginal tribesmen.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that, well, you notice we mentioned that Franklin is in this episode. Tika is not. That's because we didn't mention this in the first episode because it was irrelevant then. Tika is black.
Great representation for 1998.
Yeah, surprisingly, actually.
The Aboriginals that stole the Grimace treasure are also black.
Just poor renditions of stereotypical.
So Tika's probably not in this episode because we don't want to confuse the viewers about who the bad guys are.
And when I saw this in the flashback, I was like, oh my god, am I going to watch Ronald McDonald fight Aboriginals? Is that where we're going to have pirates and we're going to have imperialistic Ronald McDonald to show up on his big boat with his big captain's hat and be like, all right, Aboriginals, give me my treasure. I'm glad that's not where this went.
Yeah, that would have maybe been a step too far.
So anyways, after the flashback and we find out that the Grimace Island is lost to the ocean, nobody knows where it's at, one of the characters notices a map sticking out of Grimace's back pocket, implying Grimace is wearing clothes. Grimace is not wearing clothes.
He's just a purple blob.
And he apparently just has pockets.
Flesh pockets.
Like a marsupial.
Yeah. I don't remember who sees the map.
I think it's Hamburglar.
It is Hamburglar.
But I mean, I'd be staring at Grimace's behind. Hate to have him leave, but love to watch him go.
Hamburglar finds the map, and then Birdie immediately takes it from Hamburglar because she has a better sense of direction because birds migrate. And then he's just like, but you don't. She's like, you don't get it.
She says details.
Yeah, details.
Franklin,
and then
details.
Flies up to the crow's nest, which is rather large in this depiction when she gets up there. Mm-hmm. And then it immediately shrinks because she has to stand on the very edge of it to have any room.
I think she's just too short, bro.
No, she's when during the song comes up, she is the same size as the crow's nest.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
To be fair, that song is not diegetic to the actual episode.
The first song is. The first song when they're just selling along. And then the rest of the songs in this are not diegetic at all.
So the first song is just them selling along. It's also a bop. All of the songs on the show are amazing. Don't care what they say. I am being facetious again.
Here's my theory. What if when the songs happen, Ronald puts all the characters into a pocket dimension where he makes them sing and dance for his own whimsical amusement, and that's why things change and like the crow's nest shrinks because he just wants it to be smaller. Because
again, he's a magical.
He's
entity.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
think he's
It's
just
entirely
plucking
possible.
people out of reality.
Yeah. So after they finish their song about how sailing's fun and they're gonna find treasure, we flash to where the Nuggets are, and they are in a submarine along with the pirate they met earlier, whose name is Bluster.
I don't even. It's not Blather.
His name's Blather. Yeah.
Blather,
And
yeah.
Is it
one.
Blather?
It's
Yeah.
Blather. Yeah.
Not
And-
Blathers, but Blather.
Blather.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the captain of the submarine, One-Eyed Sally.
And they're following Grimace and Ronald because they're the ones that sent the letter. Ha ha ha! They're evil and they're trying to get the Grimace's treasure.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Blather was like, I'm gonna have to tell the captain about this treasure. But the captain already knew about the treasure because
Yeah.
she's the one that sent the letter.
Yeah, but Blathers didn't know that. Blathers
'cause he's
said,
dumb.
I'm glad he got that letter, and
And she's like, "Fool, I'm the one that sent it."
Oh yeah, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
so he's just bad at. She just doesn't keep him in the loop.
And we spend most of the time in the submarine with her just being frustrated because the Nuggets won't stop chattering and Blather's an idiot. And then we go back to Ronald and friends, and they are making their way along, and a storm rolls in
And Ronald gets blown off the ship and into the distance.
by a bolt of lightning.
It
And honestly,
blasted by a bolt
yeah.
of lightning. Sorry.
And honestly, it just looks like someone hit him when he was on his final stock, and he just got blasted off the edge of the screen in Super Smash.
Like
him-
I'm saying, Ronald McDonald for Smash.
Put him in the Viacom game. Put him in the
Viacom
Viacom
all
game.
sorts game, yeah. Look, classically Super R did the art. It matches other characters. Let's do it.
It is a better fit for the Nickelodeon game. I will
just
give it to you.
Don't know why. I wanted to see Ronald McDonald blow the storm away. I feel like we were juked out of that.
But
Yeah.
well, the rest of the crew panics because Ronald's been blasted away by the lightning bolt.
Presumably dead.
They start to like organize some way to try to rescue him.
Yeah, and Grimace grabs a life
Preserver and a rope. And we see Ronald flying back in on a hang glider somehow. And then as Grimace sees that, he goes to throw the life preserver into the water.
but doesn't let go, so he goes flying over the edge with it.
And then the rope snaps and he ends up just sitting in the life preserver like you would a flotation ring, just like chilling.
Yeah, like going down like a lazy river,
Yeah.
bro. He's just vibing. He's
And then,
chilling.
and then Ronald lands on him and decides to use him as a surfboard.
Well, because there's a giant wave incoming.
And
He's got
He tickles Grimace. That's important. You wouldn't think it's important, but he tickles Grimace.
So then we get a not diegetic song at
the
all.
first non-diegetic song in these two episodes.
And it's just a beach-themed rock-ish attempt at a song about how great Ronald is and how surfing is fun.
I said this while we were watching it, but it feels like this song was made for a different episode, and then they had to like scrap that episode.
Like a beach episode.
Yeah.
And so they plugged it in here. There is some stuff that carries over between the actual episode, like the giant well,
Yeah.
and like
But it's a different animated whale.
It
It,
is,
doesn't
like-
even look the same.
yeah. So like it really feels like a different episode. Like maybe that episode was in the process of being made first, and they took ideas from that episode
Maybe, yeah.
and pulled them. This song just so out of place.
So the song ends when they smack into the periscope of the submarine because the pirates decided to look up, and then Captain Sally tells them to dive, that way they can get away without being spotted. But instead, the crew ends up just ramming the submarine directly into Ronald's boat. Does no damage, just taps, and Ronald and friends are just like, "Oh, thanks for bringing us back to the boat."
And then the submarine dives.
Yeah.
But it doesn't implode.
It does not implode.
This is a submersible device that is actually rated for the depths of which it's diving.
And up to regulation, and probably thoroughly inspected on occasion.
And probably didn't cost each person $250,000 to be on.
Yeah, I mean, the McNuggets just ended up on it pretty easily.
For literal free.
Yeah.
Do you think they gave out some like coupon?
So then they're going through this row of spiky, sharp rocks, and they get accosted by a kraken.
Honestly, we see like the bottom of the ocean way that they're on.
And I thought it was going to be a giant thing of teeth.
It looks like giant teeth. It
Or
looks
like a
giant
rib cage almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like, but it's not. They could just get attacked by a kraken.
Yeah, and the kraken does very little, and they get to leave.
Which somebody calls an octopus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Franklin, the very smart child.
No, he doesn't call it an octopus. Grimace calls it an octopus.
And then Franklin calls it a kraken. Yeah.
With the most like canned in, phoned in line says, "That's not an octopus, it's a kraken! The fiercest sea monster in the world!"
The largest sea monster in the world.
Yeah.
But like, Grimace, I'm sorry, dude, but like, octopi don't have beaks on the like outside of their head. They're inside the tentacles.
Yeah.
Like in the center of the tentacle area.
But like
Krakens are squids.
they don't really have to do anything. The Kraken just kind of leaves them alone.
Yeah.
Ronald's still on his hang glider. He's standing up on the mast still.
Yeah.
And he's like, he has the rope that Grimace had from the life preserver. And
Yeah,
he's
they
like,
just throw it around his beak.
yeah, he goes, you want to play tentacle, do ya? And he doesn't even like lasso it around the beak. He just tosses the rope and,
And it
it
magically
magically knots around the Kraken's
Which is
beak.
totally in line with Ronald, because in the previous episode, he took a bunch of wood and threw it to start a campfire.
And then
it
just stood up
It just
into-
stacked into a
It
campfire.
perfectly, yep.
Like, it's totally in line with Ronald's power set.
That's
So
true.
they make it out of these weird teeth rocks, and then the submarine's trying to follow, and they're at surface level for some reason, because they resurface back up because they don't know why a submarine's an effective watercraft. And the Kraken's in their way, like, oh, that's fine, we'll just dive down. And then the Kraken, it's just like someone took it and was like, we don't really want to animate this. So they took a card of it and just dragged it down into the animation.
Yeah, if you've ever seen like one of those TikToks or YouTube shorts or like videos where like it's the person just photo capping their Photoshop and like stretching out like the assets and moving them, that's what the Kraken, it just, like you said, it looked like it got dragged from the top left corner of frame to the middle of frame and started just like moving.
So Sally demands for Blather to shoot the torpedoes, and he's like, I forgot to get the torpedoes. So instead she shoots him at the Kraken, and it would have been a very pleasant note in all of our notes to just be like, and Blather's just dead, because he lands right in the Kraken's mouth. But instead it spits him out, and they continue on their way.
Yes. This is where they make landfall at Grimace Island.
You forgot the whirlpool.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're getting pulled into a whirlpool.
Because they look at this map, and every point on the map is a different obstacle, and they do the transition of Ronald being like, where do we go next? And opening the map going, oh, what's this? And then he looks away, and it's the thing in front of them.
It's because of the Dora the Explorer map.
Oh, we
Yeah,
gotta hit.
yeah.
We're looping it back into Nickelodeon.
I'm the map. I don't remember the rest of that song.
Boots
Sorry.
is Red Hood, and I won't hear any arguments. He has the
Boots
energy.
is Red Hood?
He has the energy. I think he'd kill people.
Oh my god.
Okay.
He also has the slightly, like, what would be supernatural strength for a human
That's
when they get revived from the fucking pits.
Backpack is Alfred. Dora is Batman.
Yeah.
What-
Map is Oracle.
Map is Oracle.
Oh my gosh. What? I don't know. Who's Swiper? Joker?
It'd have to be, right? Like,
I mean, he does have the laugh.
he is the definitive, like, rival to Dora.
That's true.
And then there's Diego, who is Dora's cousin, which means related to Batman somehow.
Batwoman.
No, because he is also really good with animals and, like, can kind of control them. I think we actually get an Animal Man that shows up in one of these. Still fits in the DC universe. We just get Animal Man.
Here's the thing. What if we make Dora Batgirl? Okay.
I mean, I think that's just sexist. Why can't
Yeah.
she be Batman?
No, we make her we make her Batwoman and then put Animal Man in, and it's a CW high school sitcom.
I'm not against it, actually.
I mean, all you have to do is say CW and, like, I'm
High school
on,
sitcom. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
on
yeah,
board.
we're
Like,
down.
Sure.
So, anyway, so they get to this whirlpool, and they're all like, well, what are we going to do? And Ronald just gives them all old-timey diving suits, and they jump into the whirlpool.
Yeah, he just says jump. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
looks like we're gonna jump, and they're just gonna abandon the ship.
Yeah.
And nobody questions that Ronald McDonald wants to jump into a whirlpool that they don't know will take them to Grimace Island.
Yeah, but they do end up in a cave that has cave paintings of grimaces on the wall, and they find some grimaces, and then they get a song all of a sudden where they're, like, being introduced, and it's just filled with made-up words.
Yeah, this song.
It's the last song we listened to.
This song really feels like it's the Grimaces welcoming them to the island, which totally does not fit the vibe after the song. But
After this song, they end back up in the caves and just meeting them for the first time.
But also, there's this musician who makes content on YouTube and TikTok named Daniel Thrasher, and he just released a song called Igawala, and this song has a lot of Igawala vibes.
I've never listened to the song, but
I will show you Igawala later.
I'll believe you.
Justice hates Igawala. See, the song is written as if you don't understand English and are listening to American
That's
rap.
how I felt about this song.
Like,
yeah, no, I understand the point. I just don't like the beats in the song.
so it has
So-
zero lyrics you'll understand because
Yeah.
none of them are real words.
So here's my thing about this. Did anybody else listening to the song in the episode feel like the music was overlayered over the vocals?
Yeah, the
Yeah, a
music's
little bit, yeah.
way
Yeah,
too
yeah,
loud.
Yep.
And I was like, I get they're not singing actual words, but I still want to hear the scat man spit, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Skabbity boo bop.
yeah, like that's what Grimace was doing, bro. He was laying it down, and I was like, bro, I don't need the drums. Let me hear Grimace spit fire.
So this song ends with them doing a square spiral inwards, like on a fucking PowerPoint. And then they're back in the cave. That is the transition. They use a fucking PowerPoint transition to move back into the cave.
And once they get out of the cave, they're surrounded by grimaces,
Who can turn themselves invisible like chameleons.
Yeah.
and they're taken to King Gunga, which is the head grimace of Grimace Island.
And he's like, you brought non-grimaces here. You could have been followed this is a betrayal.
Didn't he say he violated, like, exiled Grimace law? Like
Something like that, yeah.
Like, is Grimace... What did Grimace do to be exiled, or his family do to be exiled from Grimace Island?
I assume it was just him, because his grandmother's the one that gave him the map, right?
Yeah, he got a map from his grandmother, but she could have had the map when she left.
Yeah,
Fair
so
enough.
she was exiled, had the kids, Grimace was born in McDonald.
Okay.
So
Because
he's never been, because that's why he didn't know.
When we look at his childhood memories later at the end of the episode, they do look to be like in normal houses and stuff, which is not what's going on Grimace Island.
Canonically, within McDonald's lore, when Grimace turned 16 in like 1999 and received a red convertible from McDonald as a birthday present, this is canon. There's a commercial that tells the story.
Okay.
So that would imply that he did grow up outside of Grimace Island.
But Grimace can drive a fucking car.
Yeah.
Owns a car.
Yeah.
Nicer car than me.
Yeah?
If it's a 90... What year was that?
Let me check. I was reading about Grimace lore on Wikipedia earlier. Not on Wikipedia, on the McDonald's Wikia, because McDonald's has its own Wikia.
I believe that.
There we go, McDonald's fandom wiki. In the 1970s and 80s, he had a mullet and braces.
He had a mullet?
Yeah.
Bro, Grimace fucked.
Okay, so, no, 1999, that was the episode of the animated series, Grimace Island. For his Sweet 16, which would have been in, like, the late 1980s, he got a red... Let's see if I can find it.
Wow, bro. I'm jealous of Grimace.
Car 16th.
McDonald's bought this for him?
No, Ronald McDonald bought it for him.
Bro, Ronald McDonald is just like a fluffer.
I know this is terrible content for the podcast, but also it's beautiful content. I'm not finding it on the internet. This is the car they're showing, but like this is from the most recent.
It's a DeLorean. No, that's not a DeLorean.
That's from the most recent marketing for the Grimace Shake.
That is a
celebrating his birthday.
Bro, Grimace just likes to be dripped out in swag. Grimace, I imagine Grimace is a more successful Chumley.
Here's Grimace's red convertible from a parade.
Oh my God, that Ronald McDonald is terrifying.
Have you never met like a real person in the Ronald McDonald?
I have, but that one specifically, something about him.
They're all terrifying. Anyways, we should get back to the actual podcast content because us looking at pictures of Grimace on Google is not it.
What's that Rule 34 link?
We're not going to go there. Sorry, Justice.
So, as King Gunga is reprimanding them, Sally and Blather and the Nuggets show up, and they decide to fire their cannon at them, which is filled with fish.
That Blather's somehow carried from the whirlpool.
I'm being informed by our fact checker that the Grimace Wiki is actually very contentious right now because apparently the McDonald's Corporation has rewritten the McDonald's lore in celebration of this Grimace birthday.
They're trying to whitewash Grimace?
They're trying to McDonald's wash Grimace.
It's the beginning of the McDonald's
washing.
corporatocracy.
Huh. Well, thanks for that information. But yeah.
AMAB, all McDonald's are bastards.
True.
I think it's still ACAB. All clowns are bastards.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn, you right.
So Sally and her crew head off to the cave that is like literally like right there. You can see it in the background the entire time.
Yeah.
Where the treasure is, and Ronald and friends are getting ready to go, and Grimace is just like, we could just not, it's fine, we don't have to worry about it. I don't really like to fight. And Ronald's like, you don't have to fight, you could just tickle them.
And then King Gunga gives Grimace a feather from his crown to use to tickle the pirate captain Sally and crew.
Ronald kind of blames all this on Grimace.
Yeah.
He really. He kind of like guilt trips him into going to do this.
To be fair, it is all Grimace's fault.
It is all Grimace's fault.
It's all Grimace's fault.
Yeah.
So they head up there, and Sally and Blather are having a hard time opening the treasure chest because Blather's just trying to beat it open with a rock, and that's not working.
Takes off his peg leg and starts hitting it. And he just has a foot underneath.
Yeah, it's just a normal foot that I don't know how it fits in the peg leg. Maybe Blather's also magic. Maybe the peg leg is magic. Who knows?
He carried a cannon from like
he also like was managing to breathe underwater and exist at the same pressure depths as a submarine.
He got fired
outside.
He got fired out of a torpedo.
So what you're saying is, even if their sub wasn't rated for the depths it was diving at, Blathers would have been okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think the Nuggets probably would have been fine because I've seen what the internet's done with chicken nuggets to prove that they don't die and they can exist through anything. So I think only Sally was in danger.
I think it's Finland or the Netherlands. They have a display in a museum from it was the last hamburger ever ordered at McDonald's in that country because they got rid of McDonald's in 2005 or some shit. And like the hamburger still looks like a hamburger 17, 18 years later.
Yeah.
McDonald's food is literal poison.
Mm-hmm. So Ronald and crew get there and they're trying to get Sally to give up, but she just has Blather aim the cannon at them and Grimace concedes and drops the feather, and then they all get strung up from their feet from a tree.
Right outside the cave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is this before or after the Nuggets have defected?
This is the Nuggets defected inside of the village whenever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
before they ran to the cave.
Before they ran into the cave to go for the treasure, she ordered the Nuggets to fire the cannon and attack, and they're like, "Nah, dude, we're not having fun anymore," and left.
It got like super somber, bro. It was like we gotta zoom in on one of the Nuggets, and he's like,
Are you having fun anymore?
You guys having fun anymore?
No.
It's like he was almost talking to me. He's like, are you having fun anymore? And I'm like, no.
Bro,
I wasn't to begin with.
Bro, no.
I wish this would have turned into a creepypasta and he would have stared into the camera, quote unquote, and been like, are you having fun anymore?
Watching this little show for your podcast?
Please wake
Really?
up, please. I would have been like, yes, Nugget. Yes, Jason Todd.
And Blather at this point fired the cannon full of fish at
Yeah.
the Grimaces, and then they ran in the cave, and now we're back to them being strung up.
And then instead of Blather and Sally just leaving because their opposition is gone because the Grimaces don't care, they're too terrified, they decide to stay and torture them by tickling them for answers.
Literally calling it tickle torture.
Yeah.
This is a kid's show showing torture. People strung up and being tortured.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a Nickelodeon kid show, early 2000s. There's got to be some innuendos here.
So
That's
she
fair.
starts to tickle
Honestly.
Hamburglar.
That's the thought I was having when you guys were talking about like the pirate ship thing in the jar, and like with Sunday, I was like, no, this is 100% like, it's not him failing to show weakness to Grimace. This is 100% the director and writer being like, no. This is like if Ronald was having sex and answered the phone. That's what this is. He's just like off camera.
Man, you have a much different take on things. So
That's what that scene was.
they start to tickle Hamburglar, and he's like, I don't know what you want from me. It was all Grimace's idea. So then they go to torture Grimace, and Grimace is like, I was just trying to be brave. Let me go, please. And then Sally and Blather, because they took way too long to just torture these people for no reason, the other Grimaces show up, and they all are armed with feathers.
From the king's crown that only had, what,
Like nine? Yeah.
feathers?
No, it has infinite feathers. It's a magical crown.
Apparently.
You think it's an uncommon item? Requires attunement?
I think it requires attunement,
It requires attunement, and it's probably rare because like probably requires attunement and proper bloodline.
Yeah.
Proper bloodline would be crazy.
Because it's like for royalty, right? Like it has to, like.
What if it's just relying on you being a Grimace?
To be fair, a king could also be an elected position, like
Yeah.
on Naboo.
True.
So the Grimaces scare Sally and Blather back into the cave, and then they cut down Ronald and friends, and then they all kind of just gather back up to go back into the cave to get the treasure away from Sally and Blather.
They start talking as if they've already beat Sally and Blathers. They're like, Grimace,
Yeah.
you're a hero. Grimace, you did it. And then Grimace is like, I still got a job to do.
Can I get another feather? The pirate captain took mine.
Yeah.
And King Gunga's like, of course, it would be my honor. And gives him another feather.
Yeah. So Sally and Blather are trying to drag the treasure chest out, see all the Grimaces and Ronald and crew, because they just ran in, grabbed the treasure, and tried to immediately leave again. They're like, oh yeah, there are people outside. They completely forgot. No one has object permanence in this
There's
series.
no other exit.
Yeah. So Sally and Blather start to cower at the idea of being tickled, and Sally's like, just take Blather, leave me, let me go. And they eventually let these two go.
Without the treasure.
And without being tickled. And then the Grimaces open the treasure and they just pull out a cup. It's like, Grimace, you can take this for your bravery. This cup, our last treasure, is the Grimace cup of bravery, but no Grimace has ever been brave enough to earn it.
You're not brave enough. Have the cup.
Yeah, Grimace, brave and the bold.
And that's roughly the end of the episode.
Yeah, they fly away in what looks to be a hot air balloon, but
Oh,
instead
yeah,
it's
yeah,
being
yeah,
carried by
I
butterflies.
forgot about
They
this.
go, I think it's Franklin or Bert. Somebody goes, how are we going to get off this island? Because obviously their ship was destroyed in the whirlpool.
And Ronald's like, I've got some friends in high places.
Literally winks and goes, I got some friends in high places.
And then they get in a basket and fly off like it's a hot air balloon, but it's just butterflies carrying
It
them.
pans up to show butterflies. It's like,
Yeah, it's just tied to butterflies, which I want to be honest, I just got major Arnold vibes because there's the pigeon man who flies off with ropes or strings attached to pigeons, and I just had that scene play in my head again. And I was like, oh yeah, classic Supo, you did this again later, but better.
Yeah, kind of. Then we jump back to the real world for the very end of the episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the real world bit
They're
is
just
here.
watching Grimace family memories,
Grimace
and
family
it's
videos.
live action Grimace in like a diaper, and like other Grimaces wearing like bonnets and stuff, and they're supposed to be his
But like
parents
the
or his
cuts are
grandparents.
so bad. Like,
And we have
It's giving
shadow
motion
silhouettes of all the other characters,
Yeah.
and they don't look very accurate to the characters either.
yeah. And that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
So, Hunter, Justice, one of you, what's your thoughts on episode 2? Would you guys watch more? Did you like the show?
You can go first, sir, who recommended this.
I wouldn't watch more because I'm a 22-year-old man. But I will say I'm glad I watched it to know that I don't need to let anybody else watch it.
Didn't you force people in your life to watch this with you?
Yeah, my wife
Yeah.
and my wife's best friend.
Yeah.
And they
I don't need to make anyone else watch it, except for the people I already made suffer.
already. But yeah, they also did not enjoy it. I did enjoy the second episode more than the first episode. I'll say that.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
There were less songs.
Which is a good thing.
Probably led to the more enjoyment.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I do feel like the end was rushed. I feel like they
Yeah.
got to Grimace Island and it was very much like, oh shit, we're kind of running out of runtime.
It's weird how rushed the end of these episodes feel when it's 40 minutes. And, like, typically, animated shows get 23.
I know. It feels like they spend so long at the start of the episode setting up, expositing, and repeating things to us 2 to 3 times.
Or, including not good or not diegetic songs for some reason.
Yeah, I feel like if you made this a normal, regular 23 to 25 minute cartoon, it could have been way better.
I would agree, yeah. And I'm with you on all accounts of that. I definitely would not watch more of this. That sounds like absolute torture. And honestly, there's not really anything better about this episode than the fact that it just doesn't have as much music like we mentioned. And it would also, I'd say, has a point that's worse than that, and that is the ending live action bit, I think, is the worst part of both of these 2 episodes. Josh?
Yeah, in general, the show is not my speed. I don't know if it's anybody's speed. As a child, I really enjoyed the music and thought the shows were fun.
No, as a child, I remember distinctly enjoying these.
But
I don't.
As an adult, 20-something years later, God, this show is terrible. It's kind of like the worst. Although, it's been fun to meme on, like, and joke about. Like, that's been fun.
Yeah.
But I could do that about better shows, too. So, I would not watch more of this, and I did not enjoy it. And also, the fact that Devo made the music is breaking my brain.
Yeah.
It is crazy how star-studded this show appeared to be. Like,
Yeah.
Who was it? Grimace voiced the lion turtle from Avatar?
Grimace has done so much voice work. He voiced President Obama in Phineas and Ferb. And then, like, Hamburglar is, like, a voice icon. Cow and Chicken.
Weasel?
Yeah.
Weasel, yeah.
He's done so much shiz. But yeah, like, it's weird how, like, bad the show is for how high all the talent is on the show.
It kind of goes to show that when a corporation makes something just to make money,
Yeah,
it doesn't really work that well. It's like if you take this soulless thing, it's just like, it's fine if we hire all the right talent. It should be great. It just somehow doesn't generally work that way.
The best part of the show is the animation, and you
Yeah.
can tell that it is the thing that is the most loved and cared for.
Yeah.
It is the same studio that did Rocket Power and Rugrats,
Which
and
are all,
Wild
like,
Thornberries and
phenomenal children's shows, at least from how I remember them.
the Wild Thornberries and Rocket Power are legitimately just goated shows.
Yes.
Bro, the Rocket Power video games were heat.
I never played them.
But yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Justice?
I do not.
Cool.
Other than the ways they can contact us if we're ready for that.
First, do you have anything to plug? Anything if you wanted people to reach out to you at all?
Or anything that you think
I know
is just cool and
you're
people
kind
should
of
be aware
socially
of.
unplugged right now.
No, I don't believe I have anything to plug. Continue to play Dungeons and Dragons, listen to this cool podcast, and be a good human being. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Honestly, all good plugs.
So yeah, if you want to reach out to us, and if you have any messages for Hunter, we can pass them on. You can reach out to us a myriad of ways. There's so many ways. There's Twitter at Copilots Review, which is also our handle on Hive. There is the email, which is at copilotsreview@gmail.com. And I think there's a website, which is copilotsreview.simplecast.com, which has links to our YouTube, our Discord, our Patreon, our Twitter, not our Hive and not the second hidden email that we mentioned about 50 episodes ago. But they're all on there.
You just have to find them. It's a quest. It's an adventure. A wacky adventure,
You
maybe.
don't win anything if you find the second email.
I mean, you win the email address. You can find it and you can send things to it.
But anyways, thanks for flying with us, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Please fly again soon.